Hi, this is Bill from Handycom, home of the Golf League Network. This video is to demonstrate the setup of a printer by a league course administrator for the pre-printed scorecards. The advantage to setting up a printer at this level is that the printer will automatically be available to all leagues under the course, so if the course purchases the cards and prints them for all the leagues using the same printer, it makes sense to set it up here rather than setting it up multiple times within each league. If the course purchases the cards but gives them to each league secretary to take home and print, then the printer setup would be done at the league admin level separately for each league. The first thing to know is that the Adobe Reader software is required for pre-printed scorecard printing. So if your computer does not have that yet, there is a download link in a moment that allows you to get that installed first. Also, pop-ups are needed and should be allowed within your browser and toolbars because there are some pop-ups. When you're ready, the first thing to click on is the maintenance menu and then go to the Define Pre-Printed Scorecard Printer selection. Here is that link to get the Adobe Reader if you need it. So if you do, just go ahead and pause the video and then get that. When you're ready, click on the Add Scorecard Printer, and then it will pop up with the scorecard setup window where you can type in a name for the scorecard printer. I suggest a name that indicates the location and the type of printer it is. So say you have one printer that you're using, but you have both 9-hole and 18-hole leagues, so you'll need a separate printer set up, one for 9-hole cards and another one for 18-hole cards if you're using both types of cards. Or say you have more than one printer, one in the office and another one out at the starter shack, and sometimes you print them on one printer and other times you print them in the other printer. You'd need to set up a separate printer for the starter shack then for whatever types of scorecards you're printing. We're going to leave the print dialog instruction pop-up checked so that you can see that, but later on when you're used to doing this, you can uncheck that and then the pop-up will no longer come up unless you ask for it. After you have this saved, then you can always go in and edit the name if you like, or delete it if that printer breaks and you have to get a new one and set it up from scratch. Then you would just start over again. But once we're set here, then the first thing we need to do is go into Align, and this is where we're going to align the scorecard. At the top is a Show Instructions button, which can be printed also. These instructions are the same things that I'm going to tell you right now in case you need to reference them later. These sliders here for horizontal and vertical are how you get the printing on the scorecard to go to the right or left or up or down, depending on how the card comes out. We do need to choose an adjustment type. So if you have an inkjet printer where the guide is on the right side and moves to the left to hold the paper in place, or it's on the left side and moves to the right to hold the paper in place, or if it's a laser printer which usually has guides on either side that move toward the center, then you would check one of those. Right now we're going to leave all these settings as is and just see how the scorecard comes out so we know which way to go. So then we're going to print test scorecard button, and then these instructions come up which tell us in the Adobe Reader interface what selections we need to look for. So for the 9-hole scorecards, we need to choose actual size, and we need the orientation to be portrait. And then under page setup, we need it set to letter size. And then we can also print these instructions. And later on, when you're used to doing this, we can stop showing this pop-up also. But then you will need to choose these settings each time you go into the Adobe interface because it does not save those settings. Then we can close this window here, and then here is what the scorecard would look like on top of the pre-printed area. And if we just go to print scorecards, that will bring up the Adobe interface. And here is where we would actually choose those settings for actual size, portrait, and then page setup. We have to make sure that's set to letter, which it is, and so we can cancel out of that. And then we would actually print the scorecard. And then once we look at how the scorecard came out, maybe we need to go back and change the alignment horizontally to make it go further to the right, or vertically to go higher or lower. If you do get everything, you've already got it as far to the right as it'll go and it still needs to go further, then we can increase the horizontal offset, the initial horizontal offset, until we get it to where we need it. Same for vertical. If you find that the first few holes, the dots are perfect, but then as you get across the card, they start slowly creeping over the line on the card or something like that, then we would use this horizontal spacing between holes to adjust that spacing further over to the right. And you can increase or decrease that depending. But the main thing is we just keep printing test scorecards until we get these settings exactly the way we want them. And then we click the save button and then we're done. And it'll save that for any future cards. It should print them the same way each time then. Thank you.